to go to the moon would cost perhaps $100,000 a pound.
Yeah.
The Chinese have announced that they're going to go to the moon. In fact, they will probably beat the United States. NASA last year admitted that their time frame is behind the Chinese time frame.
The revelation introduced by Michio Kaku at the Geneva Symposium altered not only the trajectory of lunar exploration, but the entire framework through which humanity views its own origins. What began as a seemingly routine presentation quickly escalated into a moment that bridged empirical data with existential inquiry. At the heart of Kaku's announcement was a meticulous compilation of new information acquired from quantum deep imaging satellites and International Space Agency collaborations. These instruments, operating with unprecedented precision, revealed not a familiar static moon, but a complex body marked by vast symmetrical cavities beneath its surface. The regularity of these voids, both in size and distribution, challenged every foundational theory of lunar formation, leading many to question if the moon was at least partially constructed or augmented by an intelligence far beyond current human capability. As further data emerged, thermal imaging scans indicated unusual heat emissions from these hollow regions. These signatures bore similarities to the decaying warmth of reactor cores rather than the expected cold remnants of ancient volcanic activity. Such thermal anomalies, when cross-referenced by independent space agencies across continents, dismissed the likelihood of measurement error and confirmed something still radiating energy deep beneath the regolith. This revelation alone was enough to warrant global scientific attention, but it was the concurrent detection of gravitational anomalies, mapped with intricate resolution, that pushed the moon's status from celestial object to probable artifact. These gravitational distortions, previously thought to be caused by uneven terrain, were shown to be distributed in a grid that matched the internal voids, suggesting a coherent engineered mass distribution. The implications of this grid-like gravitational field were staggering. It hinted at a mechanism that could once have allowed the moon to manage its own positioning with incredible accuracy. Such a feature could only be attributed to a purpose-driven architecture, possibly implemented to stabilize Earth's rotational axis or tidal systems. When this notion was combined with the moon's perfectly synchronized orbit and its precise angular size that enables total solar eclipses, what once seemed like natural coincidence now appeared as deliberate design. Kaku, careful in his phrasing, did not label these findings as proof of extraterrestrial creation, but the inferences were clear to any who reviewed the evidence. A partially artificial moon implied that humanity had grown under the gaze of something deliberate, possibly even curated to evolve under certain environmental conditions. The discussion extended far beyond science. Cultural analysts and historians began revisiting ancient texts and oral traditions. Many civilizations, from the Sumerians to the Mayans, held myths describing a time before the moon or its sudden appearance in the sky. These narratives, long dismissed as allegory or metaphor, gained new context when considered in light of the structural anomalies found beneath the moon's surface. If ancient peoples did witness a cosmic event involving the moon, their accounts might contain fragmented memories of something humanity has long forgotten. That connection to ancient knowledge extended further, influencing not only how the moon was seen in folklore, but how it functioned as a central node in religious, agricultural, and social systems for millennia. Scientific disciplines previously relegated to the fringe, such as astroarchaeology, were thrust into the spotlight. Researchers began interpreting ancient depictions and monuments with fresh eyes, seeking correlations between lunar patterns and early human understanding of cosmic phenomena. Simultaneously, marine biologists re-examined how the moon's tidal influence may have been critical in the emergence of complex life, especially in tidal pools that fluctuated with lunar rhythms. These environments may have served as the biological crucible from which life was compelled to evolve through adaptation. The gravitational stability provided by the moon could have shielded Earth from chaotic wobbling that might otherwise have prevented long-term climate stability necessary for life to flourish. Under this new perspective, the moon was not a passive participant in Earth's history, but an active force shaping the course of biological development. Attention turned toward the phenomenon of moonquakes, long observed but poorly understood. Unlike earthquakes, moonquakes rang through the lunar structure for hours, a trait more characteristic of a hollow or internally resonant body than solid rock. When considered alongside the geometric internal cavities and metallic reflections detected by radar, the idea of the moon as a massive shell or reinforced structure gained considerable traction. Further exploration revealed strange energy emissions and electromagnetic pulses from regions previously thought inert, causing scientists to reconsider transient lunar phenomena such as mysterious flashes and glows recorded for centuries. These occurrences, once attributed to natural surface interactions, were now seen as potential signs of dormant systems activating in unknown cycles. The far side of the moon, always hidden due to tidal locking, underwent renewed scrutiny. High-definition scans revealed anomalies that seemed too symmetrical, too structured to be products of natural geological processes. Some formations reflected radar signals in ways no known material should, indicating substances with density and electromagnetic behavior beyond Earth's current material science. These findings added fuel to the theory that the moon could be a kind of vault, laboratory, or observation post containing ancient technology. The possibility emerged that the moon moon was engineered to act as a guardian or stabilizer for Earth, with its current dormancy not signaling abandonment, but a form of hibernation. As the implications of Kaku's presentation spread, new avenues of thought emerged. Philosophers, ethicists, and theologians began grappling with the consequences of such an artificial lunar presence. If the moon had been placed deliberately, then the motivations behind such an act carried ethical weight. Were humans caretakers of a celestial device? Did the moon contain something of value, memory, or design that was not yet revealed? The idea of mining or terraforming the moon, once seen as ambitious, now raised moral questions about interfering with something potentially sacred or sentient. Theoretical frameworks evolved as scientists pondered if the moon might function not just mechanically, but cognitively. Linguists and mathematicians hypothesized that it could be a form of interface, resonating with consciousness or biological frequencies rather than mechanical inputs. Experimental setups began exposing volunteers to light and magnetic patterns modeled on lunar data. Subjects described vivid, often shared visions, suggesting a subtle influence of lunar fields on human perception. Whether coincidence or correlation, these experiences reinforced the growing belief that the moon's presence affects humanity on a deeper level than gravitational mechanics alone. Physicists investigating the moon's composition uncovered materials that refracted energy in ways previously only theorized in quantum mechanics. Some alloys appeared capable of manipulating probabilities or particle behaviors, raising the possibility of reverse engineering these properties for revolutionary technologies. Scientists proposed the existence of fourth-dimensional architecture embedded within the moon, allowing storage or activity across non-physical dimensions, which would explain the elusive nature of many lunar anomalies. Astrobiologists analyzed lunar samples with enhanced spectrographic techniques and discovered highly structured carbon nanostructures and impact layers millions of years old. These formations could have served as information carriers or computational elements in an organic technological system. Though non-living, they reflected deliberate construction, perhaps encoding instructions or environmental data intended for long-term preservation. This led to the speculation that the moon may serve as a databank or interface, archiving the evolutionary trajectory of Earth for reasons unknown. In reaction to these developments, private space companies shifted their goals. Instead of merely extracting resources or building colonies, many began planning exploratory missions designed to probe the moon's deep interior. Proposals for deploying swarms of AI-guided nanobots into lunar fissures were fast-tracked, aiming to map internal structures and analyze chemical compositions with atomic-scale resolution. These initiatives hinted at a coming age of lunar archaeology, where discoveries might redefine both technology and cosmology. The suggestion that the moon might communicate through frequency or light-based patterns sparked efforts to scan for recurring sequences or modulations, potentially representing a form of intelligent signaling. Theories ranged from dormant AI systems awaiting a trigger to biological feedback mechanisms that required specific cognitive states to activate. While speculative, these ideas were now supported by emerging evidence and treated as viable subjects of research in advanced forums. The broader cultural impact was profound. Art, literature, and music were reinvigorated by the mystery of the moon's hidden potential. Creative minds envisioned narratives where the moon acted as a silent companion, a memory repository, or an ancient construct with a purpose still unfolding. Humanity's understanding of the cosmos shifted from distant abstraction to intimate entanglement. The moon, always visible yet rarely questioned, became a symbol of deep mystery, challenging assumptions about randomness, evolution, and cosmic isolation. A movement toward interdisciplinary study grew rapidly. Universities launched programs that combined astrophysics with ancient history, engineering with mythology, and consciousness studies with systems theory. These efforts reflected a collective desire to understand the moon as more than a rock or scientific target. It became a mirror, reflecting not just starlight, but humanity's evolving awareness of its place in the universe. In the geopolitical arena, the race to explore the moon intensified. Nations previously focused on Martian colonization or asteroid mining redirected attention to the moon's strategic and scientific value. Collaborative missions formed with the goal of investigating specific anomaly zones. Advanced tomography, seismic mapping, and magnetic field analysis became priorities. Each nation hoped to be the first to uncover definitive proof of artificial construction, potentially claiming access to the technology hidden within. Public discourse oscillated between awe and anxiety. Some found comfort in the idea of the moon as a protective structure or guide, while others feared the implications of being under long-term observation. The moon's perceived silence no longer conveyed emptiness. It became a form of eloquent restraint, as if withholding answers until humanity reached a level of maturity. This idea resonated across philosophical and spiritual communities, prompting reevaluations of ancient lunar rites and symbols, which now took on new relevance. As these inquiries deepened, the concept of evolutionary guidance emerged. This theory posited that life on Earth, while still shaped by natural selection and environmental pressures, might have evolved within parameters subtly influenced by celestial design. Extinction events, biodiversity explosions, and climatic shifts could all have been part of a longer arc, one directed by systems embedded in or around the moon. Such a notion challenged the assumption that randomness governed evolution, suggesting instead that Earth may have developed within a sandbox of intelligence intelligent influence. This thinking extended to practical applications as well. If the moon's materials manipulated quantum fields or stored data in non-linear formats, then unlocking its secrets could lead to technologies that blur the boundary between energy, information, and consciousness. Devices might one day be built based on principles found in lunar structures, offering capabilities that defy current physics, communications across dimensions, energy generation from harmonic resonance, or even consciousness augmentation through lunar frequency synchronization. Throughout this cascade of revelation and hypothesis, a common thread endured. The moon is deeply connected to the human experience, not simply by influencing tides and calendars, but by shaping how humanity perceives time, space, and meaning. Its cycles became metaphors for growth, decay, and renewal. Now, with the growing suspicion that its presence was engineered, these metaphors gained new literal weight. The rhythms of the moon may not have merely inspired mythology, they may have been seeded intentionally, designed to harmonize with the biology and psychology of emerging intelligence. The responsibility now lies with the current generation to treat the moon not as a frontier to be conquered, but as a legacy to be understood. Every mission launched must balance ambition with reverence, exploration with humility. If the moon is indeed an artifact, it carries not just data or technology, but intent. Interpreting that intent requires not only instruments and algorithms, but empathy, imagination, and a recognition of the unknown as something to be respected, not feared. In this new era, the moon no longer hangs passively in the sky. It watches, reflects, and perhaps waits for humanity to understand what it truly is and what we might become in response.